The chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
House Speaker Mike Johnson led the chamber in a moment of silence and prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. Speaking to cameras outside the chamber, he condemned the violence and called on political leaders to use their voices.
I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. It violates the core principles of our country, our Judeo-Christian heritage, our civil society, our American way of life, and it must stop. We need every political figure, we need everyone who has a platform to say this loudly and clearly. We can settle disagreements and disputes in a civil manner, and political violence must be called out, and it has to stop.
Let's bring in CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small for more on this. So, Taurean, Charlie Kirk had close ties with people inside the White House. So break down their response this evening.
Yeah, off the top, we saw the president ordering flags here at the White House grounds, but also around the country at half-staff. We saw that happen just about 2 hours ago. Since then, we've seen just a wave of reaction from folks not just within this administration, but also down the road on Capitol Hill, from lawmakers holding that moment of silence on the House floor to the House Speaker giving that very impassioned plea for an end to this this type of political violence. And then we saw presidents of past. George W. Bush just put out a statement sending his condolences to the family. Barack Obama, former president, also sending out his condolences and condemning this violence. What was also curious to me, I also saw a post from California Governor Gavin Newsom. One of the first reactions to come out of this, he said, of course, there's no place for this type of violence. And he also is one to reach across the aisle. He had Kirk on his podcast just earlier this year. So they had some type of a cordial relationship there. But I can't underscore enough just how important of a figure Kirk was to the president's life. He has visited the White House several times this year. The president, when he would come to visit, would often tout how he was instrumental in helping him win with young voters. And part of that was because of the strategy that we saw at this event today, this debate me or prove me wrong, as the events as he called them, where he would meet with folks across the political aisle and have a very public debate that extended to digital spaces as well, where he would also then attach President Trump's 2024 campaign to it. So a lot of folks working at the White House not only worked with Kirk, but know him intimately, which is why we're seeing this outpouring of responses.
Sure. Taurean, is this incident sparking any discussion in Washington about security measures in place?
Yeah, what's interesting, I saw my colleague, Caitlin Huey-Burns, have a conversation with Mike Lee in the Senate. He represents Utah there, and he was understandably so distraught at the murder of Charlie Kirk, but also went on to say that this is something that should be considered, whether or not it's safe for these public figures, especially connected to politics, to be out in the public. No word yet on if legislation will come from that. We haven't necessarily heard the president weigh in on needs or security changes for folks in his orbit, but it is at least on the discussion in these early discussions as it relates to this shooting.
Taurean Small. Taurean, thank you.